Listen,
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
we know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Can't get enough baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
Dave Sims,
Good to see you, man.
the man, the legend. No, really, I grew up, everybody's like generations. My brother's generation was a little bit older than me. I know listening to you, hearing your voice, obviously we have ties, New York. Bill Roden was a mentor of mine.
Yeah.
And I know that's a really good friend of yours.
Absolutely.
You guys, particularly for us, African Americans in this business, were sort of the blueprint. So I thank you guys for being
Hey, my pleasure.
the people that paved the way.
Glad to help. I always thank Bill White, and obviously go back to Mr. Robinson, Mr. Dobie, and all those guys. And it's interesting to be in this position, because I remember when I was just starting out, scared to death as an intern at the Inquirer a long time ago, and I was the first black sports reporter there. I was the first black sports reporter at the New York Daily News. So I've been a Lone Ranger in just about every stop along the way. But it is what it is. I love what I do, and I appreciate you saying those kind words.
What is it about what you do that you love so much, and particularly on the baseball side of it?
Yeah, on the baseball side, I always loved baseball. It's my first love as a sport. And I used to, in Philly at Fairmount Park, my father worked at the main post office at 30th and Market, and they had some serious athletics. A lot of those cats had gone to HBCUs, and so I went to a lot of basketball games. My father was commissioner. He was commissioner of the softball league. He played. So I've been around it since I was big, man. And then going to Phillies games, we could walk to the ballpark. So it was great. And he took me to see Mays and Aaron and Clemente and all them cats. So baseball, Chico Suela, SNL. Baseball been very, very good to me.
Yeah. It's wild. I had Tawan Walker here on the podcast.
Yep.
He talked about Philly crowds and how you can go on on a Tuesday day game where school's in and people at work and it's packed.
Yeah.
What is it about just Philadelphia and where you're from that makes that city like that?
Well, like me, it seems like everybody in Philly has a similar athletic experience. It is Philadelphia has an unbelievable sports culture, starting from CYO all the way up to the pros. And I'll speak for the Eagles. They've been super competitive. Everybody, I don't care. It's a uniting factor in the city.
Yeah.
And when the Phillies are going well, it's a uniting factor.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I always say that Philly and Boston are like a push. It's the two most intense sports towns in America. Because people care, man. And they care deeply. And when you win, they love you hard. And if you don't, and all you have to do, if you just play hard, you're good. If you come in and you're half-assing it, they're going to be on you hard. But boy, I tell you what, like Mike Schmidt, he's on permanent scholarship. Although he got dogged early. I remember I think it was one of my internship years, and he was Joe Cool and everything, and people weren't digging that. And I remember another thing, I think some people were resentful because he was hanging out with the brothers, and he loved Dick Allen. Dick Allen was his hero. And then Schmidt just started going like this, and it's one of the all-time greats. Yeah. But it's just funny how things can turn like that. And even now, God rest his soul, Dick Allen passed a couple of years ago. A lot of people hated him back in the day. I didn't. In my generation, we did. I think it was a generation above, older ahead of me. And those sports writers didn't cut him any slack at all.
Yeah.
That dude was a great player.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. When you look at just your career path, and you're in Seattle now, obviously you're New York, Philly guy, been in New York from Philly. Did you expect to be sort of a play-by-play guy like that? Was that your mission and your goal of all coming into it?
I enjoyed the heck out of sports writing. 3 unbelievable summers at the Inquirer, 7 years at the Daily News. Always had my eye on this because I'd done some play-by-play in college. I've been calling games since the old electric football days. Put the middle in, hit the switch, and they vibrate and they go around. I'd call play-by-play on that stuff. I'd call play-by-play when we'd be playing in the parking lot. I can remember playing at a supermarket lot. It was one-on-one, me and Anthony Wainwright. I'll never forget it. And he would play-by-play as he's striking me out, throwing tennis balls and everything.
Yeah.
So it's been in my blood. I've always followed and been enamored of cats who were doing this, way back when I was a little kid. So people always ask who's my favorite, and I can run down like 40 guys.
Yeah.
Who were my favorite guys growing up.
Who are a couple of your favorites?
Well,
you had the names of?
Let's start with Mr. Scully. I met him obviously once I got this job. I mean, Kurt Gowdy, all the national guys. I got to work with Charlie Jones on the Olympics in '88. Locally in Philly, Byram Sam called the Phillies and A's. Bill Campbell, Harry Callis, Andy Musser. I mean, and then I moved to New York. I get to meet Marv Albert. Mm-hmm. Costas is a friend. Marv's a friend. I mean, all these guys. So Al Michaels, so many great announcers, man. And I think I have my own style, but a little piece of me and of them and me. Marty Brenneman's a good friend, Hall of Famer. So yeah, man. It's and not only baseball, football. Brad Sham's a big the Cowboy voice is a good friend too.
You mentioned your style. I always go back to it's a base hit. That went sort of viral on Twitter.
The Haniger.
The Haniger, yeah. Talk just a little bit about the art of, because it was interesting. Like you knew when to pause, you knew when to speak. Obviously, you're really passionate about it, but like it seemed like you letting the play breathe was almost more impactful than just your words alone.
I appreciate that, and I credit that to the late great Marty Glickman. Who was like the godfather / rabbi of just about every New York broadcaster. Anybody grew up listening to him, whether in New York or from afar like I did. And then I got to work with him when he was the announcer coach at NBC Sports and MSG Network while I was there at the same time. And they were breaking me into do NFL on TV. And we also did a lot of radio work. And he always said, there's nothing wrong with silence. And the story goes is that Mr. Scully, when they called the Mr. Aaron home run, supposedly he went to the back of the booth, poured himself a coffee, let it ride for let the crowd go nuts for about 5 seconds, and then he came back. I mean, it's one of the great stories. I'm pretty sure it's true. But I love the story, and I hope it is true. But and knowing Mr. Scully, probably what he did. But you have to give, particularly on radio and even on TV to a lesser extent. On TV, it's a picture medium, obviously. So put the graphics on it, put your subtitles in it, say it, and get the hell out of the way. On radio, you got to give the audience a chance to hear, like da 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 da, and then pause. And if the crowd's going nuts, let them enjoy it. Let them feel like they're there.
Yeah.
And then you can come back and you can elucidate and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like I have a PhD in Marty Glickman, like some of the other guys who came up in the New York area.
Does that take security in just who you are, your job, and knowing that you're sort of good at it to let the play breathe? Like,
that's part of the technique. I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a must do. You don't have to. I mean, I took a pause. That Haniger thing. I paused. The next year. Yeah, it was the next year when Cal Raleigh hit the home run. That is really crucial, and especially on TV, people are watching it. Let them enjoy it. Let them feel it. Let them taste it. And on radio, you want to. In radio, it's horseshoes and hand grenades. Two different operations there. And on radio, describe it and describe everything, and then lay out, and you come back and you fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
But that laying out is a big part of what should be a part, especially big moments.
Is that something you mentioned? Haniger, you mentioned Cal Raleigh. Like, are those moments that you have in the back of your head, like, okay, this might happen? Is this something that you prepare for? Is that something that or is that just the random emotion of the time?
It's foundational because of what I learned. I think I intuited a lot of that, and then when Marty put a stamp on this is the way you do it, and he pretty much invented the art of accurate radio play-by-play. So if Coach Glickman said that's what you do, that's what you do.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
Which one is tougher? Would you say, is radio or TV?
You work a lot harder on radio. TV, I mean, 1 sentence, 2 sentences, you're covered because now it's a director's medium. On radio, You know, I like to over-describe everything. I mean, it's cloudy skies, you know, temperatures, da-da-da-da-da-da, it's 80%, the wind's blowing out, you know, third baseman's off the line, da-da, there's a 2-2 pitch, you know, breaking ball, taking, you know, outside ball 3, that kind of stuff. TV, you can see it, you don't even have to talk through everything on TV.
When you said that, like, the descriptions and with the radio that you do, does your writing background sort of help with that?
Hey, man, especially writing for a tabloid, you got to say your piece. What is it? You know, tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them, and get out. I mean, it's very important. You know, a lot of guys, you know, if I was writing for a game story, and rarely did we have room for sidebars, but if I wrote 500, maybe 550 words for, you know, on my running, on my advance.
Man, you know all that, man.
Oh, yeah. Hey,
you got running and everything.
The running, and then the sub out. Hey, man, that I got my butt kicked a lot. Hey, we had to rewrite that, you know. I didn't like the way you read. I got my butt kicked a lot early on, but that was an unbelievable learning lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the discipline and to get it out and be succinct and try to be a little creative, have a little swag in there, you know.
Yeah. Who are some of your favorite players that you've covered along the years?
Nelson Cruz, let's start with him, Felix. And football could be almost anybody. While I don't agree with him politically, Aaron Rodgers was a blast to call his games.
Really?
And when he was in Green Bay, we had a lot of Green Bay games when I was doing Westwood One, and I had a lot of Brady games. I had a lot of Manning games. That stuff was real, man. Manning and Brady, you know, Brady and Rodgers, and then being an Eagles fan, I had to temper myself, and I didn't always succeed. Yeah. But you know, when McNabb had some good runs, I remember at the fourth and 40, Freddie Mitchell caught. I don't think he made it. Jack Ham was working with Jack Ham, a great Hall of Famer. I think he did make it, Dave. He made it.
Yeah.
It set up, and then who was that? David Akers went down and kicked a field goal to win the game and moved the Eagles up another round in the playoffs. And then, you know, over the interviewing wise, I mean, I've interviewed, you know, Mays, Mantle, Drysdale, Aaron, all those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Bob Gibson, Seaver. I mean, a pantheon of them cats in the 60s and 70s, man.
You mentioned Mays. I think you went to his homegoing, right?
No, I didn't, but Harold did. Harold Reynolds did, and he was telling me about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what did Willie Mays mean to you as a
the supreme competitor and showman? And you know, not 5 tools, he had like 10 tools, it seemed like. I mean, he could do everything. I mean, I saw him win a 1-0 game, you know, base hit, steal second, move the third infield out, you know, and then score on a slow ground ball or something, making catches. My father said, "Don't you try to do it, make a catch like that." You know, and I was
but
a
you
catcher.
Had to try it, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't, because I was a catcher. So
okay.
Yeah, I knew better.
What's sort of, when you look at like his legacy, his life, everything that he's meant to him, I think he's the best player of all time. I mean, but when you look at everything he did, and what sort of stands out about his career to you?
Well, it was long. It was I'll wipe out the last couple of years with the Mets, but he played with unmitigated, unrivaled joy, and his gifts, man. He took advantage of all his physical and mental gifts. They say that his baseball acumen was off the chart, and he used to tell a story about in the All-Star game. Walter Ralston said, "You make up the lineup." Of course, I'll be leading off, which he did, and I also remember him talking about, maybe it wasn't an interview with me, but I saw him in other interviews. He would call the game from center field. He would be calling the pitches and relay them to the catcher.
Wow.
Yeah, and moving guys around and whatnot.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was that level of
dude, that was ridiculous. Yeah.
Of IQ.
Oh yeah, baseball, I can't forget it.
Wow. I want to ask you about your team right now. You guys have made some transactions, obviously. It seems like you guys, I think you had 16 of them or something like that, which is crazy. I was talking to Ryan Divish, and he was like, "Man, I could never sleep around this time of the trade deadline."
You know what that reminds me of? When I was at the Daily News and the guys were covering the Yankees beat, and Steinbrenner, we didn't have all the stuff we have now electronically, and those guys would always be in tenor hooks because Steinbrenner might do or say something. So it's the same kind of thing.
To get back to that, but like I heard Steinbrenner, the old school people, when Leon Carter from the New York Daily News, he told me that he used to have people wait until his car left, before like say, okay, the writers can leave, because Steinbrenner might come up and say something crazy.
And you don't want to get beat on that either.
No, not back in the day.
Please don't put me on the fill-in beat for the Yankees. I filled in a few times, and oh man, that was crazy. That was a different time.
To get back to your team, the team that you guys have made some moves. How do you view this team? Because I mean, pitching wise,
forget it.
I've never seen a team like this pitching wise that I've covered. It just sounds different from the press box. And it looks different. It sounds different. How do you view
full attack mode? Everybody, and I like that. Pete Woodworth and the pitching staff, man. Hey, you against him? Let's do it. Boom, let's go. Yeah. And the group that jumps out at me, and that's a little different style, but when the Orioles had the 420 game winners, none of these guys are going to pitch long enough in games, and none of them. I don't think we're going to have 420 game winners. That ain't going to happen. Yeah. But in today's game, they're made for this, you know. And to have a group of 5, I remember a coach recently told me with Brian Wu, he said, he's your 5? He said, he'd be a 1 on our club.
That's crazy. Yeah. I think he might be a 1 or 2 over here for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, pitching rich, getting Turner is going to help his experience. And what was it yesterday? It was 9, something like extraordinary number of ABs, 270, 13 home runs, 76 RBIs in his playoff career. Yeah. And he said, listen, I've experienced everything there is to experience as a baseball player. I've been traded, DFA'd, traded again, won World Series, losing a World Series. And he says, hey, you know, I can help out. I'm looking forward to establishing relationships here with this crew and tell them and share my experience and my know-how and having been in a lot of these situations. And then Rosarena comes in with tremendous energy along with Victor Robles. And I keep calling Phillies, Julio Rodriguez right now has got to be chomping at the bit to get back to join this crew. Yeah. He's another guy, big energy guy, very enthusiastic, loves the game, and shows it too.
When you have like a Turner there, I mean, I remember covering him last year, and it seemed like with runners in scoring position, it was just automatic.
Puts the ball in play, man.
You just knew that ball was like in the first inning of you know, the other night's game. I think when he hit his first game here, his first at bat, boom, he puts the ball in play, RBI single. They go up 1-0.
That is an unbelievable addition to our ball club, man. Because strike out. I mean, our strikeouts lead the known world.
Yeah, he'll put together great at bats, and there's just something different about those guys. I think mentally when they check in, and it's
no question.
They have this ability to just lock in. Have you seen that?
Already. I just saw it the first AB. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah, I loved it. It was different. And again, when you see as many strikeouts as we've seen this season, to see a guy there, hey, 2 strike, maybe go the other way. Just get something he can handle. You don't try to have to hit it. You don't have to hit it over the monster, but just put it in place somewhere, find a hole, and shoot it through it. He got to run.
Last question: when you look at this team, what do you think they're? Obviously, they had the playoff run a couple of years ago. Then they looked like they were going to make the playoffs last year, and then it just sort of sputtered toward the end. How do you view their upside?
I've been saying all year, if they can get the team batting average up to close to or near 240, they're going to be all right. Because you got to be able to punch back. I mean, you can't expect your pitchers to be perfect all the time. You give up 3 runs, it's no crime, but you got to give me 4 or 5 runs to help them out. Yeah. I mean, and we've seen too many games of dudes that pitch their butt off 5, 6, 7 innings and not getting any run support and lose games. And yet, having complained about that, having bitched about that, we're still in first place. So I mean, you got to temper. You know, sometimes you have to. I remind myself every day. Whoa, we're half out. Oh, now we're in first place. Chill. Yeah. You know, I think, and then with the moves, it's exciting to see these moves, and I think the additions have been outstanding.
Dave, well, you know how I feel about you, man, and I appreciate you taking the time out. It's always fun having you at Fenway. It's always fun when I go out there and just seeing you out there. So, you know, I definitely appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.